No, that's wrong. Dixie Diamonds 179. Brisbane, Dixie, 10:15 p.m. Reed Jeffrey placed his phone on the coffee table in front of the Bordens and holding his mini recorder in the air said, "All right, I'll get us started, but Agent Voss will likely have some questions for you as well." Turning the recorder on and placing it on the table, he said, "Agent Reed Jeffrey, 31st of December, 1999, 10:15 p.m., interviewing Edward and Elizabeth Borden. Mr. Borden, please state your name." My name is Edward Jackson Borden, and you contacted me about the information you're about to provide?" "Yes," Ed said, "that is correct." "Thank you, Mr. Borden. Mrs. Borden, full name, please." "My name is Elizabeth Sarah Morse Borden. You also contacted me about the information you're about to provide?" "I did," Liz said. "Mr. and Mrs. Borden, you are aware that I am recording this interview, as is Agent Clive Voss in Brisbane, and that we will be sharing your statements with relevant law enforcement agencies, both domestic and foreign?" "Yes," Eddie said. "Yes, I'm aware," Lizzie added. "Thank you," Jeffrey said. "Did you have a telephone conversation with someone purporting to be Pilotre de Rosier?" "Yes," Ed said. "Two, actually," Lizzie replied. "And when was the first phone call?" "They were both today," Liz said. "The first was around 4:15 with Dr. Rosier, and the second was around 4:45 with Dr. Rosier and his assistant, Joey Habanere. It was during the second phone call that Dr. Rosier provided us with details about Brent Brentsy's home." "And what prompted the discussion about Mr. Brentsy's home?" Jeffrey asked. "Well," Eddie said, "Dr. Rosier told us this Brentsy fella had tried to murder him early this year, and that the attack was so violent that it left the poor man brain damaged. It was Rosier sharing details about Brentsy, his home, and something called a Brentsy copter when he started talking about a computer this Brentsy uses for security for both his house and his Brentsy copter. He said something about a virtual assistant named Jane Ross that has lethal capacity that protects both his house and his flying machine. That's what Brentsy told us." Clive Voss, via Jeffrey's telephone, asked, "Have you ever met Professor Rosier, or had you spoken to him prior to today?" "No," Liz said. "We hadn't spoken, but we did exchange emails." "Does he seem trustworthy?" Voss asked. "Well," Eddie replied, "granted we've only known him a short time, but he sounded completely sincere and very concerned." "Thank you, Mr. Borden," Voss said. "Reed, I'm going to distribute this information and contact the French authorities, just to keep them in the loop. If you don't need me for anything else right now, I'd like to get to work on this." "Sounds prudent," Jeffrey said, clicking off the recorder and putting it in his pocket. "Let's get everyone informed. No harm if we're wrong about Brentsy, and possibly lethal consequences if we're not. Leave me a voicemail concerning what the French have to say." "Will do," Voss replied. "Thank you, Elizabeth, Edward. As I said, better safe than sorry. I'll leave that voicemail," he added before saying goodbye and disconnecting. "Lizzie, Edward," Jeffrey said, "thanks for coming forward, and I'll say it one more time. It's better to be safe than sorry, and if you're wrong, no harm, no foul. You did well." "Good," Ed said, nodding his head and rising from the couch. "Good. Anything else?" "No," Jeffrey replied with a nod and a wink. "I'll let you get back to your New Year's Eve party," he said with a grin as Eddie rose to show him to the door.